In Japanese, kan means sign and ban means board. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing Kanban. But before we deep dive in this and talk about Kanban, the Kanban method, let's look back at when and how all Kanban gets started with. And in the early 1940s, Tanichi Chao, who was like a Japanese business engineer, was working in Toyota, and his goal was to limit inventory and deliver the Toyota car to the customers just in time. And during the late 1940s to like hopefully recently to 2000, Kanban was heavily practiced in the manufacturing industry. And thanks to David Anderson, who in the early 2000, he introduced the Kanban method to IT operation and services. Welcome back to Aisha Scrum platform. I'm very happy to have you all today. And for my current subscriber and my new subscriber, I appreciate you all for watching my video. And in my topic today, we're going to go over and cover a little summary about Kanban and the Kanban principle and the Kanban values, and also touching a little bit about the Kanban metrics. All right, so let's get into it. Looking behind me here in my board, I have like a simple definition I wrote about what it's Kanban is: visualizing our workflow and also maximizing efficiency. And for me, that's a simple way I think I would define Kanban. Also, most of my reference will be coming from today, will be coming from the Kanban guide and also David Anderson book. So, and I also like to touch on the importance of Kanban being that it has to be actively managing work item. So visualizing workflow is one thing, and at the same time as a team we also have to emphasize on managing the workflow itself, so at the end hopefully we can deliver this value just in time, right? And the next thing is for us to improve the flow, right? So that's why there's a lot of processes out there in place in the companies whereby we have all these things in place to ensure that we are only not maximizing the value, but we continuously want to improve the current flow. And that's why in Kanban, unlike Scrum, right? Scrum, we do like the push system, and in Kanban, it's heavy on the pull system, meaning that instead of us just sitting down and start planning, okay, we're gonna be doing this futures, this story, and this and that. And when it comes to Kanban, with the pull system, it's just saying that we should deliver based on our capacity, and the goal is for the developer or the team or the who is working on this Kanban system to go into like the to-do column, pull the item from that, and work their way through the processes in place on the board until we are able to deliver this value just in time for our end user. And I have a little mini Kanban board I have here, and I've seen a lot of companies and a lot of places do their Kanban board differently. And I just want to summarize it that the most important thing always is going to be like you have some kind of definition how your team would define to do, and there are also going to be like a lot of different columns to on what's basically being doing, meaning in progress, and also what's being done. And now let's touch on the Kanban methods, and that's where like David Anderson have these 5 core, and these 5 core now became part of the Kanban principles, right? And he has like this very nice book. Myself, I read this book. It's really really nice, where he like basically broke down everything about Kanban method and how a team and a company can be very successful using Kanban. And the book it's called Successful Evolutionary Change, Tech and Businesses. And that's where he came up with this nice core 5 core properties, right? And one of them, the number one, is to visualize the workflow. And that's why if you notice with everything we do in Kanban, we either have like a if you work in office, you see like a whole board behind you where you can manually they have the to do, doing and done. Or if you work remotely, there's like Jira and a lot of other software tools where you actually have a digital Kanban board. And it's important at all times we have to like visualize the workflow, because I know it sounds so simple, like oh yeah, we should visualize our workflow, but prior to all this agile way of doing things, in the old traditional method, There's a lot of like kept documents, a lot of documentation that will be hidden of what are the steps. Of course, it's all going to be written down in a detailed documentation, but then for everyone to have that alignment and that transparency on the work wasn't as visible as what it is today. And thanks to Kanban, right, and other the agile frameworks too that are being used. And next thing we have is to limit work in progress, right? And I know that's like one thing that's been a lot of challenge for a lot of teams that's doing Kanban. The challenge will be like, okay, how much can we do at a time, or how many can be in progress at a time? And that's when it's very important, because the goal is not only to start, but you should also start and finish, right? Not only to start and finish. So that's where the limiting work in progress become in place. And I plan to show you all in my Jira video, where I will have the list of ways and how we can limit work in progress. And I'm going to keep that for Jira for sure. And manage flow. At all time, we have to know our work, our process, our flows we have in our board, and we all as a team have to define like what does it mean when we have item to do, and how do we prioritize the item in to do before it gets to in progress, and if so, what's it actually going to be in progress, what is actually in progress, right? And also at the end, when do we actually deliver this to the customer? And at all time, the goal is for us to deliver it at the time and when the customer want it, and not like us wasting going away too much time of not delivering this value. So the last thing I have is make process policies explicit. So basically, Kanban is heavy on going at a company and not like basically changing everything. If you look back, we're going to cover that here. Under the principle is always like you start where you are, you follow the company processes, you follow the company policies, and ensure that there's that alignment between the team, because the goal is for us to improve slowly and deliver incrementally. So Kanban is also very, very heavy on that, with the processes and the policies in the company should be implemented alongside with Kanban. And Kanban is a methodology, right? So that's something about that. And improve collaboratively. And at all given time, as a team or as a company, we should always like promote improvement. We should promote like processes that will be in place that can help us all grow as a team and grow as a company by continuously collaborating and continuously improving. Principles is actually 6. I know I covered the 5 core from the David Anderson book, but the Kanban principle is 6. And the last one for the 6th Kanban principle is the feedback loop, and that's everything in Agile, right? The continuous feedback loop. And now let's talk about the 4 Kanban value. That's not principle, it's value. And one is start with what you do now. So the goal is when we introduce Kanban to a company, we are not like basically transforming the whole company and saying that, okay, now we must follow all the Kanban processes. Kanban is always used alongside with the company's current flow. Start with your company, start with what you have, start with the current process, and the goal is for you to slowly improve that process, while at the end we are delivering this value. So the next thing says, agree to pursue incremental evolutionary change. So basically, we shouldn't plan to have like a big, massive change that will affect the whole company, right? Because then it becomes difficult. We all know that, right? So we will always advise in Agile to always constantly do small incremental changes. And Kanban is very heavy on that, whereby we'll do small incremental changes instead of us doing a heavy incremental changes. Respect the current process, roles, responsibility, and title. It's very important for us to, going back to their policy or the values, saying that we should respect the current company processes, we should respect the current responsibility and the title of that's already established in the company, and we shouldn't like just want to impose a whole organizational change. But if needed, as the team continue to work together, as the company see fit, they can make those changes slowly and incrementally. And the last one is encourage acts of leadership at all level, right? We all know like sometimes in companies they have like this hierarchy of leadership, hierarchy of steps that you must follow and you must first address. But Kanban is very emphasized heavily on even like people with no title or the smallest, the people with no voice in the team. It can be that people with the biggest idea that can help us deliver this value. So at all given time, we should always promote and encourage leadership of all levels, regardless of your title. And I wrote here Kaizen, because we can talk about Kanban and not touch on Kaizen, right? Because Kaizen is continuous improvement. It's also very heavily used in Japanese. It's that Japanese language. Maybe I'm even pronouncing it wrong, but it's Kaizen, and that's for the Japanese language of continual improvement, which Kanban is continue to promote and emphasize on. And then the last thing I have in my board is our metrics that we can use to help ensure we are able to limit the time, right? Because the goal is for us to deliver this value quicker and faster to the end user, so then we can hopefully shorten our feedback loop and then they can get their valuable product. And we have like key metrics for Kanban that's popularly used. And I know CFD, which is the cumulative flow diagram, that's one of them that is very popularly used in Kanban. Just visualize your whole board. It can tell you how many items you have in to do, how many work items you have in progress, and so far what have been completed. And the lead time is also like telling you is a metric used to explain like from when a customer places an order to when they can get it delivered. How long is that taking? The duration of time, and the goal is for us always to shrink that time, right? And the cycle time, it's also is a metric that's measured from when they start working on it, like basically in progress to done. How long is it taking the developers, or if you work in IT support, or how long is taking them from a request to basically delivering that work when they start working on it. So that's cycle time. And work item age, how long time have elapsed since when this order was placed. We also use that work item age that. And the last one I have here is the throughput. And throughput basically measure how many work items have been completed in a given time. You can do this for like a week, 2 weeks, based on what metric you're trying to achieve. Basically, it's the work item it's counting, and the other ones are all measuring time. Because we all know overall in Kanban, the goal is for us to limit our time, limit our work in progress, and at the end for us to deliver this value to our end users. Thank you all for watching my mini Kanban video, and if you've been finding my content valuable, like and subscribe to Aisha Scrum platform. I truly appreciate you all. And if you are interested in mentorship, do not hesitate to email me at admin@aishascrumtech.com. Thank you all, and see you all again next time.